Hey guys, it's Don here with Stray Dog Survival, and today I'm going to show you how to turn these into that, what's typically known as an alcohol stove. Let's get started. The version that we'll be building today is called a double-walled version. The reason is because it has this other wall on the inside. It's not just like this empty shell here. And what that does is it makes it a little more durable, and also builds pressure to burn the fuel more efficiently and hotter. The only materials we're going to use today are scissors, a thumbtack, a Sharpie marker, which makes it a little easier to mark your lines, a ruler to measure those lines, some sharp cutting devices. I like to use a razor blade to score the top, and a knife to combo the cutting ability, a stapler, of course your lighter, and whichever can version of 2 of these that you're going to want to use. Now all these tools will make your job easier, but you don't need all these tools. All you would really need is a cutting device, mainly a knife, and that's about it. Alright guys, the first step that we have to do is we have to do some measuring, alright? Now you can make the can any size you want, but a typical size that I love going with is 1.5 inches, alright? And the reason is from the top of the rim of the can to the bottom rim of the can is that 1.5 inches, and then you're going to include 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch for your inside barrier to hit that top wall. So let's get started. We're going to take our ruler, and we're going to measure 1.5 inches up. Alright, we're going to take this other one, and we're going to measure 1.5 inches up. Now to make this a little more simple, you can just grab anything you want to kind of help you draw the line. I typically like to use this brick here, so what I'll do is I'll just place my marker right on the side here, and all you're going to do is you're going to spin the can around. You're going to draw a line, okay? Alright. Take it again to the other one, where you marked 1.5 inches. You take it and you just turn your can all the way around. Now we're going to start cutting, alright? Now you can make an incision first. I like to do that. Just start it off, and then take your scissors and you start cutting. Alright, after you have the bottom cut, what we're going to do is we're going to do the top. And how we do that is you take your razor blade or your knife, whatever you have, and you're going to score the inner edge of this bottom of the can, alright? You want that can to just get popped out. Now this is a tedious task, so you just got to get started. Make sure you be careful. You can cut yourself during this step. You want to go around about 2 to 3 times, depending on how hard you push. First time I did this, I went around about 4 to 5. I was real light on it. This time I'm pressing a little bit harder. If you've done it enough times, you can take your time to keep doing scores all the way around. You can just pop this bottom of this can out. I'm rushing this process a little bit, but that's okay. All you do is you wiggle your knife back and forth. As you can see, the score actually just settled that little bit right there. So all you do is you kind of just pop that out right there. There you go. Now, next step is you're going to cut this can. I've already made the decision here and kind of got it started. So all you're going to do is stick your scissors in there. And when you're done with this step, you should have 2 bottoms of your cans, one with a hole in the top, one without. This is your bottom of your stove, this is the top of your stove. Alright, now on the bottom part of the stove, you kind of want to stretch it. You can do it with the bottom of a can, alright? or you can do it with the top of the can. All you're going to do is you're going to fit it in there. You kind of want to wiggle it around. Make sure that you're stretching that aluminum a little bit, so the top of the can fits a little better, okay? When you slip it in. Alright, the next step that we're going to need to do is we need to measure the inside part of the stove, which is the double-walled part. Alright, now it's pretty simple to do. Just mathematically, if this was an inch and a half from the bottom to the top, if you add a quarter and a quarter, we got 2 inches. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to measure a 2-inch piece on this can here. Alright, now it doesn't have to be from the very bottom. In fact, I'm going to go up a little bit so I can cut that off, and the 2 inches are there. Alright, now all we're going to do is we're going to cut straight up past our marks. We're going to cut around our marks. Alright, there's a reason. It's going to make your job a little easier here in a little bit, instead of rolling that all the way around. You lay your thing flat. Alright, and all we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler, we're going to measure, draw our first line, draw it, come down to the bottom, measure your 2 inches here. Alright, and draw the second line. Now there's 2 things about this inside wall that you need to know about, alright? One is, believe it or not, it's better to be shorter than it is taller, and the reason is when you fit your cans together, you don't want to be too tall where your cans won't get put together. And the second one is when we roll this around and staple it, which will be here in a second, you don't want it to be so tight on this inside bottom ring right here where it's pinching it too much. You want it looser than not, and I'll show you that. So let's get cutting our inside wall. There you go. Alright, so when you roll this together, you're going to fit it in the bottom of your can here, alright, like so, and just make it fit the inside of that bottom ring, alright. You don't want to squeeze this too tight, so let it be a little bit loose, but not too loose. Alright, and when you have it, it should look like something like this, alright, and then we're going to take our stapler. Alright, now I like to staple in the center, if your stapler will fit, and that gives the inside edge a nice smooth piece. You're just going to find where your can overlaps each other. You're just going to staple in the center. 1. You're going to go to the top. 2. If you want some security, you'll put one in the center. I generally do. It's not needed. And there you go. Alright. Then just test it and make sure it fits in the bottom piece just like so. Okay. After you have that inside wall cut and stapled and fitted, what you're going to need to do is take your scissors and go on opposite ends of each other and cut a little notch, alright? And I want to show you what this does. This notch, little triangle notch, is it allows the fuel to feed in, alright? So that's one notch. Go to the other side. Now how tall you have to make this? In between 1/4 of an inch or so tall, about 1/4 inch wide. You see them right there. Just enough for the fuel to feed in. Larger, but not too large, is better than small. And then you just sit it in. Alright, now for the really fun, and by fun I mean not fun part. It's getting this can on top of that other can, alright, without damaging this top can too much, okay? So you want to sit your inside wall in there, okay? And you take your top can, and you just want to fit it inside of this bottom can, alright? Now the best way to do it is kind of just get one edge and just kind of squeeze your fingers around, alright? Crimp it a little bit, like that, but that's okay. Once you get it in there, what you can do is you can move this inside wall to the side, move it over, put your finger in, and press that wall back. Alright, that's perfectly fine. You kind of just move your finger up and down so the wall doesn't get squished too much. That's it. Make sure that inside wall is in there, and when you push down, you want that inside wall to be on the outside of this ring here. So you'll just slowly bring it down. Alright, see? And you should be able to press it all the way down like so. Alright, now you can clean up these edges here with a Dremel or some sandpaper, but it's not needed. And then you just press it down, and when you have that, that's why I was telling you that inside ring is better to be larger than tighter to make this process a little easier. You just push it down so it's even, and you should be able to see all the way around your can. There you go. You're almost done. Okay, for one of the final steps here, all you're going to do is you're going to take that tack and you're going to start poking the fuel holes, alright, where the vapor is going to burn out of. Now, you can do as many holes as you want or a few, but about 16 is really good. If you do 32, you're going to be able to boil water or whatever your liquids are a little bit faster, but you're going to burn your fuel quicker. If you do any less, it might not cook as fast as you're going to need it, and your fuel might burn up before your food gets hot. So 16 is about where everybody does it. And the easiest way to do that is you start on one of the sides of the can, alright? You just poke your tack through. You flip it to the other side, alright? Exactly across, and you poke a hole, another hole. And then you're going to do the same thing all the way around the can. So you're basically halving the can every single time with these holes. Alright, so like right now, I just about have a cross. And then what we're going to do is we're going to poke in the center of all those. There you go, 16 holes. Now for the final step is to put whatever fuel you have. I'm using typical alcohol, alright, it's 91%. I've never tried to use the 70%, but 91% works really, really well and it burns for a long time. Now you can measure it out to have 2 ounces. I know just about in this can where 2 ounces is, so I'm going to go ahead and pour that in there. And 2 ounces should get you about anywhere between, depending on how many holes you have and how the vapor pressurizes, in between about 15 or so minutes. Enough time to boil water, okay? Alright, now all you have to do is actually light it. Just take your lighter, place it inside the alcohol stove. Now depending on how much wind you have, you might have to hold it there for a few seconds. The center of mine has lit. You have to give it a few seconds, up to about a minute or two, for that fuel burning to build pressure and the vapors start coming out of the vent holes. Alright? So you just let it burn a little bit. If it goes out, relight it. As you can see, the flame's going. Okay, now once the can gets primed, you'll see flame coming out of all the holes. Now you can just sit the can on this. You can use a wind barrier if you've built one. You can use a tin or a pot cage. I like using a pot cage, so we'll sit it on top. And then you take your water. I'm using a Serbian mess kit tin. Picked up it at blackrivoroutpost.com. You can pick them up other places. You just sit it on top and you wait for your water to boil. Alright, as you can see, our water is actually boiling. That was a little over 8 minutes. It was actually boiling around the 7-minute mark. I just let it go a little bit longer, so it did a rolling boil. And if you can see it in the bottom of that can, which I'm pretty sure you can't, we probably got about another 1/4 or more of an inch of our fuel still going. Now you can continue to let this cook if you needed to, or you can put it out. Now how you snuff it out is you of course move the pot, and you're going to need to remove your pot holder. Now you can let it burn out if that's what you need, or you can lift it off and just take any container, put it on top, Snuff it out. There you go. And there's actually still about like I was saying, about 1/4 of an inch or more of fuel still down there. So that was at least burning a little over 8 minutes. I put the can back on there. We're going about 9-10 minutes right there before I remove the pot holder or pot rack. And you probably have another 5 minutes at least right there. And that's how you make an alcohol stove. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments, put them down below. We'd like to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.